Hey folks, welcome back to Markelly Farm. We've got some outside work to do. Gonna get some stuff done, so stick around if you want to hang out. So we've got a little something to do here in the shop first. It won't take long. I'll show you what we're going to do. We've got this hoe that we picked up at auction the other day. We're going to make a custom profile out of the blade here that we have a couple different options for weeding. We're going to take our 4.5-inch grinder and cut this up a little bit. That's just about the profile we want. We're going to go out and give it a test. If not, we'll modify it. Well, I think that'll work just fine. A narrow hoe is a lot easier to use than a wide one. Well, we got our weed patrol done. It only took a couple minutes. We don't have a big weed problem this time of year because we're not getting rain where we're getting a lot of weeds out in the walk path. And our new hoe worked beautifully. I think I have my new favorite hoe. So I think what I'm going to do now is our cantaloupe is pretty much spent, and even though the cucumbers are still producing, we've had plenty, so I think we're going to clean those two things up, and then we can head inside and do what we're going to do there. You remember that cob fork we bought at a recent auction? This is the kind of work where it really shines, picking up all this little stuff. Got it all. Now with all the cucumbers we've been picking off of this vine, this is all the big ones that were left or got missed. Huge amount. Chickens are going to be loving that. Garden's all cleaned up. Chickens are fed. I think tomorrow I'm going to come out here and pick every tomato that's even close to being ripe, and then we'll clean those tomatoes up. It's going to be a while before we can pick up the watermelons and the honeydews because they still have some melons on their ripening. But this weekend we'll do celery and peppers as well. We saved a few of the smaller cucumbers. What we'll do is we'll just cut them lengthwise, quarter them, and then we'll trim the seed core out of them. Our cousin's kid really likes cucumbers, so we'll cut those up for her and deliver them tonight when we head into town. Now, as tempting as it is, folks, I know it's fall, and I know you've been hustling in the garden all summer long, and you want to just rest for a while. It's just past peak garden season where you've been working your tail off. But don't let your garden go. Keep it cleaned up. Don't let it get all overgrown with weeds because you'll pay the price later. Don't let that stuff go to seed and all your work will be for nothing. Decrease that seed bank and you're going to thank yourself later, believe me. Plus in spring, you're ready to go. Got our cucumbers all sliced up. We'll put those in the fridge. Next thing we have to do is we have all of our habanero peppers that were left over from making our hot salsa the other day. We've just about got all the stems removed. We got them a good wash here in the sink. What we're going to do with these is we're going to ferment these for a more liquid hot sauce. We've made that before here on the channel. I think we're down to about our last bottle of that. And the reason I do both is because the liquid sometimes is more convenient where you can just shake it onto something. Whereas the hot salsa that we made, you got to get a spoon out. And so we're going to get these washed up and then we'll get them cut up and we put in our big glass 1-gallon pickle jar. We get these from my cousin's restaurant. Any restaurant just about will get their dill pickle slices for their hamburgers in these, and you can usually get them for free. So you can ferment just about any vegetable, and back in the day, that's how they made like dill pickles and stuff. It was just salt and water and all the other ingredients in the jar, and then after a week or so, it's pretty much ferments. Not unlike our sauerkraut over here in this jar. It'll get a real nice tang to it. We're going to put some onions and garlic in there with it, and some salt and some water, and we're going to cut up our habaneros. We're going to fill this whole jar. We've got all of our habaneros in the jar. Now we're going to put 3 medium onions also in there with it. All right, we got all our ground habaneros and our onions in the jar. You don't have to mix it up completely because it's all in the same brine, and it's all going to get pureed together later anyway. So we need to figure out how much salt to put in this jar. We added just enough water just to barely get to the top of that material inside. And the best way to figure out how much salt is with a kitchen scale. And we want 2 to 8% salt by weight. So we need to figure out what this weighs. So what we'll do is we'll put our empty jar on the scale so we know how much the glass weighs, and it's much easier to do in grams. So let's make sure we were zeroed out. Yes, we are. So now we want to zero again. So that'll zero out, so it'll subtract the weight of the jar. So let's put our full jar on here now. And it looks like we're 3310 on the grams. So the math is much easier to do percentage-wise with that number. So we want to go 5%. So 5% of this number is 165.5. We're just going to say 166. So we'll take this off. We'll put a bowl on here. We'll zero it out, and we'll go to 166 grams of salt. So we've got 166 grams of good kosher salt. So we're going to add that in our jar, give it a stir. Got everything stirred up. We did our little trick, putting a Ziploc bag in the top with some water to hold the mixture down in its own brine in there. And then we added some salt to this water as well, because if the bag breaks for some reason, we don't want to dilute our brine down. And then as some insurance, we put it on this plate because this is going to start bubbling. And it's going to, as it ferments, and we don't want it to boil over, but if it does boil over, it's going to go into this pan here. And boil, we don't mean hot, we just mean bubbling over. But we've left some airspace from there to the top of the jar so this thing can gurgle without pushing a bunch of stuff out, and then air can get out through here. So we don't need to put the lid on because there's no contact through here. So this is going to set, should take about 7 days depending on the temperature of your house. You want it anywhere from 60 to 75 degrees for this to ferment. Now, as always, you can play with the ingredients in this hot sauce. You can make it mostly sweet peppers. You can, play with the flavors, put different vegetables in it. You can throw some carrots in it. We're going to put some garlic in this, but not till right before we puree it. And we'll taste it. We may add a little apple cider vinegar. We'll play with it when it's time to bottle it. But it's going to be good stuff. And being that it's fermented, it's going to be good for your gut as well. It's going to have good probiotic properties. And when this is done, this will keep in the refrigerator for over a year easily. In fact, the hot pepper sauce I made before, I think was 2 years ago. It's still good. The next day, Kelly and I are doing another batch of tomatoes. She's peeling and I'm putting them in the blanching water. It goes a lot faster with 2 people. Some beautiful looking tomatoes. Got all the tomatoes peeled, got the cooker filled up. We're cooking it down now. We'll probably can these early in the morning. The next morning our tomatoes have reduced. They're ready to can. We've got our canning station set up here. We've got our citric acid. We have some salt. We have all our jars here just about ready to go. And then Kelly's got some more stuff out for the freeze dryer. We're going to do our tomato skins and some pico de gallo. Currently in the freeze dryer are grapes and bananas. They will be coming out shortly. So we've got a lot going on today. We're still going to go out and get the bell peppers and the celery and prep all that and get that in the freezer as well. Now, because our tomatoes are so sweet, we've been adding citric acid to make sure that we don't have any issues in the jar, because your acidity needs to be high enough. And we're adding a half a teaspoon of that per quart. It'd be a quarter teaspoon per pint. Now, I just ran out of citric acid, so if you don't have that, you can use lemon juice. For a quart jar, you would use 2 tablespoons, which is 1/8 of a cup. Or for a pint jar, you'd use 1 tablespoon. We're also adding salt because it enhances the flavor a little bit. We're adding a full teaspoon of salt to a quart, and it'd be a half a teaspoon per pint. All right, we've got our jars filled. Our full cooker, when we do this, usually does about 10 quarts or 20 pints. So this thing's just about ready to boil. We'll put the lid on, and then we'll set our timer. We're going to go 50-55 minutes because of our altitude, and then those will be ready, and that's for the quarts. But you've seen us can a million times on this channel. We won't bore you with all the details. I don't know about you all, but canning always gives me such a sense of accomplishment. Kelly and I were just discussing that, especially when you've grown the food yourself and done all the labor, and you're getting the fruits of your labor. She feels the same way about freeze drying. It's a beautiful morning out here. Still got a big day ahead of us. Got our beautiful tomatoes pulled out, so time to go outside. Kelly's going to work on the peppers and the celery, and I'm going to be picking apples. We've had pretty strong wind yesterday, blew a bunch of apples down. So we'll go through the ones on the ground as well, the ones that aren't beat up, and we'll gather some of those up too. But we've already got a bunch canned down in the root cellar. My goal this year is to make some apple cider. Kelly's using her new garden sink out here in the garden. I don't have the faucet plumbed yet, but it kind of works better with the hose anyway, so you can go around and wash all the veggies. Alright, I got most of the ones I can get by hand. Now it's time to use our picker. Kelly went to get the wagon because we're running out of room in our bushel basket. Kelly's got all the celery picked now too. She's doing a pre-wash in the sink. Then we're going to take all this stuff in the house, get it chopped up and vacuum sealed. Probably make some pepper dishes for dinner. What do you think?
Yeah. This is the second bucket of...
Oh, that's the second bucket.
There's one already in the house.
So we can have stuffed bell peppers or pepper casserole, whatever we want to make with those. Celery looks beautiful. Well, even with all of the apples that came down to the ground, we were still able to pick a whole trailer full, and plus this big bushel basket here. There's two different types of apples, Everything in these bushel baskets here are one type. The stuff loose down in the bottom and this basket here are another type. And these trees are just ginormous trees. So bumper crop of apples this year. So these will be left here for the local wildlife to come in and eat. The deer will come in here and eat these up. The deer don't like them till they turn into like fruit leather on the ground. Kind of fermented and sweet. And they really love them at that point. So we're going to go in and help Kelly with the bell peppers and the celery. And then we'll store some of these apples for future use. We're also going to get a couple nice boxes of these together and take to our neighbors down the road here that provide us with our sweet corn every year. And we also have some new neighbors a few miles north. So we're probably going to bake them like an apple pie or something and take it up to them and welcome them in the neighborhood. Today's the first day of fall, and boy, it sure feels like it. Probably mid-50s today, overcast. Don't know if we're going to get any rain out of it. Sure makes it for a nice cool day outside working. Kelly's got a head start on me already. Working on the peppers first. Boy, those are some beautiful peppers, babe.
No, they got pretty big.
Yeah, very nice crop this year. Got all our bags full. We got a big bowl of chicken goodies there. Kelly's over here vacuum sealing all of our bags. Got a bag for the fridge for the next few days for omelets and wraps and whatever else we're cooking. Got all of our celery cleaned up. This is all our celery leaves. You can use these for lots of things. You can put them in soups and stews, salads, garnish. I think Kelly's going to make some celery salt with some of these. She's going to freeze dry them, turn them into a powder with some salt. Here's all our celery stalks. We just got them cleaned up again. This one's almost got like a purple color to it. Pretty neat. We're going to get all this chopped up and we're going to bag it up just like the peppers. All right, got her all done. These are all of our celery right here. Kelly's going to do one batch in the freeze dryer for our ramen soup deal that we're going to make. And then we have all these bell peppers. Now the bell peppers we had to partially freeze before we vacuum sealed them because there was too much liquid coming out. But after we partially froze them, everything was working out great. So now we just got to find a place in the freezer for all this. And then I think we'll be done for the day. So we got quite a bit done this weekend with Kelly home. Still got more to do. We've got those apples that I'm going to be dealing with, but we'll do that on the next video. And Kelly's got some stuff coming out of the freeze dryer. We'll cover all that. So hope you enjoyed hanging out. We've feel real accomplished with what we've got done. So till next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at Markelly Farm.